Okay, today we are going to work on adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. Most of this is actually a review from Algebra 1. You just didn't necessarily call it this in Algebra 1. We're going to do example 1b. The parentheses are really just saying, here's a polynomial, and here's another polynomial, and we are going to add those two polynomials together. If it's addition in between the polynomials, the parentheses really don't matter at all. This is just combining like terms. So, 9y to the third. Are there any other y to the thirds in there? No. So we write down 9y to the third. 3y squared. There's also a negative 5y squared. What's 3 and negative 5? Negative 2y squared. When you're adding, you don't increase exponents, you just combine the coefficients. Negative 2y and y. What is negative 2 plus 1? Negative 1y. You can write the 1 in front of the y or leave it off. It's up to you. And 1 plus negative 4, negative 3. That's it. That's all. Do you remember this from Algebra 1? This crazy easy. On your online assignment, you will have to type these in, so you have to use the math keyboard and the exponents to actually type in the polynomial, but that shouldn't be too bad. Okay, finding the difference. Let's do example A. When it's subtraction, we do have to consider the parentheses, because we need to subtract all of that second polynomial. We need to subtract 2x to the third. We need to subtract 6x squared. We need to subtract a negative x and subtract the 1. So basically, I just rewrote the second polynomial using the minus sign for every single term. Kind of like distributing the negative. So then I can cross this part off. What does this minus a negative thing mean in front of the x? Plus a positive. And now it's just like example 1b. So 8x to the third and negative 2x to the third. 6x to the third. Negative 3x squared and negative 6x squared. That'd be negative 9x squared. Negative 2x and positive x be negative x. And positive 9 and negative 1 is positive 8. So when it's subtraction, distribute the negative to the second polynomial and then combine like terms. Just to make sure you feel good about subtraction, I would like you to try example 3b on your own. If you're watching the video, pause the video, give it a try, and then play the video to check your answer. Okay, let's go to the next page and look at multiplying. Okay, example 4 is, the first one is just distributing. 8x to the third times 6x squared. First, multiply the numbers. 8 times 6 is 48. X to the third times x squared. What do we get when we do x to the third times x squared? X to the fifth. You add the exponents. Properties of exponents, when you're multiplying, you add the exponents. 8x to the third times 3x would be plus 24x to the fourth. 8x to the third times negative 7 is negative 56x. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it in this class before. Do you remember the term FOIL? Mm-hmm. Have I talked about how I hate the word FOIL? Yes. Okay. FOIL is a 4-letter F word. It only works if you're doing something like x plus 2 times x plus 3. It only works if you have a two-termed polynomial, a binomial, times another binomial. So in example B, FOIL is not going to help us. FOIL is a fancy way of saying distribute as many times as you need to. So let's start by distributing negative x squared. Negative x squared times x is negative x to the third. Negative x squared times negative 3 is positive 3x squared. We are done distributing that one. Now we need to distribute the 2x. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. We're done distributing that one. Now we need to distribute the 4. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Once you're all done distributing, you are done multiplying. You're not going to multiply again. You've done the multiplication. Now it's combining like terms. So we've got negative x to the third. These two are both x squareds, so we have plus 5x squared. These two are both x's, so we have negative 2x, and then minus 12 at the end. Now, if you wanted to, you could have taken the x in the second polynomial and distributed that backwards, and then taken the negative 3 and distributed that backwards. It doesn't matter which way you distribute as long as you stay consistent throughout the entire problem. All right, which other ones do we really need to do? Let's do D. I have a kind of a shortcut to show you with D. This is 3 terms times 3 terms. So how many things are we going to end up with lined up on our page? 9 things. If you look back at this one, we did 3 things times 2 things, and we ended up with 6 terms that we had to then combine. If you've got a trinomial times a trinomial, you're going to end up with 9 terms. That's going to take up quite a bit of space on your paper. So I will show you a potential space-saving and like life-saving shortcut. Let's start by distributing 2x squared. 2x squared times x squared. What will that be? Okay. 2x squared times negative 4x, negative 8x to the third. 2x squared times negative 9, negative 18x squared. Okay, I'm done distributing that one. Moving on to 3x. Okay, honestly, a friend of mine showed this to me in college, and it was like a mind-blowing, like, why has nobody shown me this hack before? 3x times x squared. What's that going to give us? 3x cubed. I'm going to write 3x cubed right underneath the other x cubed term. I'm going to vertically group the things that are the same so that when I go to combining like terms, I don't have to sit there and look through the string of 9 things. I've got everything that is the same right next to each other. 3x times negative 4x is negative 12x squared. 3x times negative 9 is negative 27x. Done with that one. Now we need to distribute the 5. 5 times x squared is 5x squared, and I'll write that underneath the other x squareds. 5 times negative 4x is negative 20x. 5 times negative 9 is negative 45. This is really, really helpful if you have like a 6-termed polynomial times a 6-termed polynomial and you're going to end up with 36 terms on your paper, because who wants to look through a horizontal line of 36 terms? That just sounds like terrible. So if you group your things vertically, now you can very easily see your like terms. You've got 2x to the fourth, negative 5x to the third. Let's see, that'd be negative 30, so negative 25x squared, negative 47x minus 45. If you end up with really big numbers and you think, oh my gosh, I must be doing something wrong because it's not right for us to have like a 45 at the end, it's fine. When you start multiplying big numbers like 5 and 9 and 8 all together, you're going to end up with bigger numbers. Okay, let's talk briefly about F and then we'll go over to E. What does x minus 4 squared actually mean? X minus 4 times x minus 4. You cannot do x squared minus 4 squared. You can't just distribute the square. It doesn't work that way. You have to do x minus 4 times x minus 4. Then if you like the word FOIL, you could go ahead and do that or do what we've been doing. X times x is x squared, negative 4x, negative 4x, positive 16. So the answer is x squared minus 8x plus 16. Some of you really like to get everything done in one step and just be done with it. You cannot do that in E. It is impossible to just do this in one step. Basically, E is two separate problems. Your first step is to choose two sets of parentheses and multiply them. I usually pick the second two. So I am going to ignore the x minus 6 for now and just multiply 2x plus 1 times 3x minus 1. So 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. 1 times 3x is positive 3x. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Combine like terms, we have 6x squared plus x minus 1. Then bring down the other parentheses and multiply. So this is math people's tricky way of making you do two problems when it looks like it's only one problem. So bring this x minus 6 down, and now we need to double distribute again. So x times 6x squared is 6x to the third. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. If you want to continue horizontally, you can. If you want to group things vertically, you also can. Negative 6 times 6x squared is 36x squared. Yep. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. Then combine those like terms. Minus 7x plus 6.